Okay, picture this moment. It is, I think, universally relatable. I know you've done it.
Oh, for sure.
I've certainly done it. You're staring at your phone. Maybe it's late at night. You've read something that just made your blood boil, a hot take, a comment on a thread, and your thumbs just start flying. You type out this perfect, blistering reply. You look at it, you read it over, and then you hit delete.
The phantom reply, yeah.
Right, and you type it again. Maybe you edit it. But here's the kicker, and this is the feeling I want to start with. You don't delete it because you don't have an opinion. You delete it because, in that split second, you get this weird feeling that those words, they don't actually feel like yours.
It's a very specific kind of modern hesitation. It's not writer's block. It's more like an identity crisis in miniature. You're asking, am I saying this because I believe it, or am I just saying what people say in this situation?
Exactly. And that is where we're starting today. We are looking at a really a fascinating set of insights that explore the collision between the age of AI, where opinions get generated faster than we can actually think them, and the ancient philosophy of Stoicism.
It's such a powerful combination. Usually we think of AI as this tech issue, algorithms, data centers, GPUs.
Right.
And we think of Stoicism as a history lesson, men in togas, that kind of thing. But when you put them together, you get this really sharp lens on modern psychology. The source material we're diving into today uses that friction to ask a massive question about how we live.
And the mission for this deep dive is pretty clear. We want to try to figure out how we define a personal opinion, or what the source text calls chinkin, in a world where an algorithm can basically speak for us.
Right.
And just to be clear, chinkin, it's more than just an opinion, right? It's like true integrity of view or something like that.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. It's deeper than just having a take. It implies a viewpoint that's grounded in your own reality, your own internal order. And, well, preserving that is getting harder. We're not just looking at the tech, we're looking at the internal where of speaking too much.
And the Stoic antidote, which is surprisingly quiet.
Speaking less, but caring more.
That's the core theme we're going to unpack. So let's jump into the first big idea from our source material. It makes this observation about the AI era that really caught me off guard. Usually when we talk about tech and speech, we talk about censorship, shadow banning.
All that, yeah.
But the source says the problem isn't that we can't speak.
No, it's the opposite. The problem is that the technology speaks for us. And that is arguably more dangerous for our sense of self. The source points out that today, opinions appear faster than the actual thinking process.
That's the part that hit me. I can go to ChatGPT right now, type in a prompt about some complex geopolitical issue, and in, 3 seconds? I have a 3-paragraph argument.
And it's a good argument.
It's great. It's rounder, more polished, and sharper than anything I could come up with on the fly.
And that just creates this crisis of ownership. If you can prompt a bot to write a perfect defense of a political stance in seconds, where is your genuine perspective in that? The source asks this really haunting question. If a perfect argument can be generated in seconds, where's my opinion?
It's like we're wearing ideas like costumes. We didn't sew the costume, we put it on.
Exactly, we are outsourcing our intellectual labor. But here is where the Stoic philosophy comes in. The text mentions a Stoic, someone like Marcus Aurelius. He wouldn't look at an AI-generated opinion and ask, is this well written?
So what would he ask?
He would ask a much harder, much more uncomfortable question. Does this opinion make me live more truly, or does it just make me feel less lonely?
Oof. Less lonely. That stings a bit, because so often we post things just to signal to our tribe, hey, I'm one of you, don't leave me behind.
It's meant to sting. The text highlights this kind of economic disparity. We consume hundreds of viewpoints a day. But how many of those do we actually pay for with our own experience? The argument is that opinions have become cheaper than their consequences.
Okay, that's a great line, but let's break that down. Cheaper than their consequences. What does that mean in practice?
Well, think about the pre-digital world. If you held a strong, controversial opinion, you usually had to express it to people face-to-face.
Sure.
You had to back it up with your actions. There was a cost to holding that view.
Yeah.
You had to live it.
Right. If I say I care about the community, I actually have to show up to the town hall meeting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But now, you can copy-paste a fiery hot take about community, get 100 likes, and never leave your couch. The opinion costs you nothing. But the Stoic perspective is that if you haven't lived the opinion, if you haven't wrestled with the consequences, then quoting it, even if it's correct, it just dissolves your own character. You're diluting your own integrity by trading in cheap words.
So by using these cheap opinions, we're actually cheapening ourselves. Which leads us directly to the psychology behind why we do this. Why do we feel this burning need to post, to comment? The source material dives into something called the fear of disappearing.
And this is deep human psychology. The source argues that in the modern world, not speaking feels like vanishing.
Vanishing? That sounds a little dramatic.
It is, but look at the shift. In previous eras, your existence was confirmed by your roles. You were a baker, a mother, a soldier, a neighbor. You existed because you did things. Your actions defined your reality.
And now?
Now existence is increasingly confirmed by expressed opinions. You exist because you posted a take on the latest controversy. If you don't post, if you don't have a story up, are you even part of the conversation, part of the world?
I have absolutely felt that pressure. It's that feeling where silence feels like a liability. But let me play devil's advocate here for a second. Isn't silence sometimes cowardly? If I see something wrong in the world and I say nothing because I'm trying to be stoic, am I not just avoiding responsibility?
That is exactly the pushback society gives us. Silence gets labeled as having no stance or being weak. We're told silence is violence, or if you are quiet, you are complicit.
Right.
But the source material argues that this puts us in a speed trap.
A speed trap?
Yes, because we're trying to compete with machines. AI writes instantly. The internet moves at the speed of light. Humans, we're biological, we're analog. We need time to chew on things.
So the pressure is, if everyone else is shouting about this right now, I have to shout too, or I look bad.
Precisely. The pressure is, if the bots can say it now, why am I hesitating? This leads to this dangerous belief that having an opinion ready is more important than being able to live with that opinion. We're prioritizing speed over sincerity.
And this is where they bring in Marcus Aurelius again.
Yes, he has this concept of protecting your moral energy. He didn't say keep your thoughts inside, just to be secretive. He believed that every expressed opinion triggers a chain of reactions and expectations.
It drains the battery.
Completely. If you react to everything, you have no energy left to actually be virtuous. The text says we're in a losing battle of comparison. We're trying to match the speed of digital output with our souls, and our souls just can't keep up.
So we're exhausted, but we keep doing it because the system rewards it. Let's talk about the mechanism here. The source calls this the mechanism of reflex opinions.
Right, the market of attention. It's a market that values speed over depth. The algorithm doesn't care if you've thought about an issue for 10 years or 10 seconds. It favors the fast, the sharp, the decisive.
And this leads to what the text calls identification. This was really interesting to me because it explains why everyone online seems so stubborn. It says opinions are no longer treated as temporary thoughts.
This is a crucial shift. An opinion used to be a hypothesis. I think this might be true, but I'm open to new data. Now, an opinion is treated as a static identity. You said this, therefore you are this.
And because of that, you can't change your mind.
Exactly. In the digital space, changing your mind is seen as betrayal, it's weakness, or flip-flopping. So what happens? People end up defending points they aren't even sure of, just to avoid being owned or backed into a corner.
That sounds like a trap. You say something once, maybe too quickly, maybe you used AI to help phrase it, and now you have to spend the next 3 days fighting in the comments to defend a hill you didn't even want to die on.
And that's where AI makes it worse. We outsource the thought. We let the machine organize and polish our views. We see a generated paragraph and think, yes, that's exactly what I feel. But the Stoic rebuttal in the text is severe. If an argument is perfect, but you haven't lived with it, it's not yours. It's a mask.
A mask that eats into your face. Which brings us to the segment that I found the most heavy, but maybe the most important, the existential toll, or what Source calls internal wear. The Vietnamese term is hao mon noi tâm.
Hao mon noi tâm. It's a beautiful and tragic phrase. It translates roughly to erosion of the soul or internal weathering.
Erosion is a strong word. It implies something being slowly scraped away.
That's the image. It's not the tiredness you feel after a day of hard physical work. There's a good tired.
Yeah.
This is the fatigue of maintaining an image that is consistent with too many spoken words.
It's the gap, right? The distance between who we say we are online and who we actually are.
Yes. Think of it this way. On social media, your avatar is high definition. It has perfect morals, perfect arguments, perfect clarity. But your real life is low definition. It's messy, you make mistakes, you're tired, you're contradictory.
And trying to bridge that gap takes energy.
It takes immense energy. When you project a high-resolution opinion but live a low-resolution life, that gap creates a void. And the source says this leads to defensiveness. We rationalize. We don't try to understand better. We just try to hide the contradiction.
So paradoxically, expressing all these strong opinions actually reduces your freedom.
It does. Because you become trapped in the framework of what you said. You're no longer free to explore. You're obligated to defend. The source describes a moral anxiety, this subtle self-loathing that rises when your actions inevitably drift from the high standards of your digital declarations.
And the alternative silence is terrifying because of what the source calls the fear of the void.
Without the armor of arguments, without the noise of the feed, we're left with the naked question. If I say nothing, who am I? And for many of us, that's a terrifying question to answer.
That is the question. So let's pivot. We've diagnosed the problem. We're tired, we're overcommitted to opinions we don't own, and we're using AI to sound smarter than we feel. How do we fix it? The source moves into a dialogue with the structure.
Right, and first we have to clarify something. The Stoic doesn't blame the algorithm, they don't scream at the cloud, they look for the boundary of their own control.
So they reframe silence. It's not doing nothing.
No, silence is an active refusal. It is refusing to participate in a reflex loop. Think about that heated online debate again. The Stoic reads it. They understand the anger. They might even have a good point to add. But they don't post.
Why?
Because they don't care. Because they run a control test. They ask, does any action within my control open up after I post this comment? If the answer is no, if posting changes nothing but your own blood pressure, the Stoic opts out.
That requires so much discipline. It's almost like a superpower. The source talks about the waiting period.
Well, modern society demands an instant stance. The Stoic insists on a gap. And this gap is where real opinion is formed, through living, through working, through treating people well, not through debating abstract concepts online.
And there's this harsh Stoic test for opening one's mouth. I love this because it sets the bar so high. Am I willing to live with the consequences of this statement, even if no one agrees with me?
That's the ultimate filter, not will this get likes, but can I sustain this position in isolation? If you need the applause to sustain the opinion, it's not an opinion, it's a performance.
Okay, let's get into the toolkit. The source provides specific Stoic strategies for the AI age. I want to go through these in detail because I think we need practical steps here. Strategy number 1, speak only what you can live with in silence.
This circles back to what we just said. You don't speak for the audience. If you express a view, you have to be ready to hold that view even if you are ignored or misunderstood. It's about being self-contained.
Strategy number 2, the time buffer. Now, be honest with me, is this actually doable?
It's hard. It is very hard, but it's essential. The strategy is to deliberately delay your reaction.
How long are we talking? Like 10 minutes?
The source suggests days, even weeks.
Weeks. If I wait weeks, the topic won't even be trending anymore.
And that is exactly the point. If a topic isn't relevant in 2 weeks, was it really worth your moral energy? The logic is that an emotion is volatile. It burns off like fog. A true opinion, what the Stoics would respect, is durable. It's solid.
So the practical tip is, write the draft, put it in your notes app, but don't hit send.
Right. If you come back on Friday and you still feel that the point is valid and necessary, then maybe it's an opinion. If you come back on Friday and wonder, why was I so mad on Tuesday? Then it was just an emotion. You just saved yourself public embarrassment and internal wear.
I really need to try that. Okay, strategy number 3, admitting ignorance.
This is huge in the age of ChatGPT. AI can simulate expertise on anything. You could sound like an expert on quantum physics in seconds. So, the most ethical act a human can perform is often just saying, I don't know.
It's almost rebellious to say, I don't know these days.
It is intellectual honesty. It anchors you in reality while everyone else is floating in simulated expertise. It signals that you're trustworthy because you only speak when you actually know something.
Strategy number 4, integrity over arguments.
Yeah.
The source uses the workplace as an example here.
Right. We've all been in those company Slack channels where people are arguing about company values or some abstract principle.
Like general channel wars. Yes.
Exactly. The Stoic approach is, don't argue about values in the chat. Just do the work. Do the work without cutting corners, without blaming others, without drama. People trust that consistency much more than they trust loud declarations of virtue. The argument is, let your behavior be your loudest opinion.
Strategy number 5, using AI as a mirror, not a mouthpiece. This is a nuanced take because it doesn't say don't use AI.
No, use it.
Yeah.
But use it to challenge your thoughts, not to write them. If you have an idea, ask the AI to argue against it. Or ask the AI to write the standard opinion on the topic.
And why would he do that?
To check yourself. If the AI writes your point better than you can, ask yourself, is this really me? Or is this just the standard, average, correct answer? Use the machine to force you to be more human, more unique.
And finally, the text mentions accepting irrelevance, being willing to be seen as blurry.
That is the price of peace. The crowd wants you to be sharp, clear, and categorized. They want to put you in a box. Left, right, pro, anti. To keep your internal order, you might have to accept being seen as unclear or uncommitted by the masses. You have to be okay with people thinking you're out of the loop.
So we're coming to the end of this deep dive, and the source material leaves us with a final, provocative thought experiment. I want to put this to you and to everyone listening.
It's a powerful visualization.
The text asks, if tomorrow you were forbidden from speaking, writing, or using AI to express yourself, if all your accounts were locked, your voice taken away, would your actual life still show where you stand?
That is the ultimate test of Chinkin, of personal integrity. It strips away all the words. If you take away the tweets, the posts, the emails, does your behavior, your treatment of your neighbor, the way you do your job, the way you treat your family, do those things tell the story of who you are?
It's terrifying, but it's also liberating. It suggests that who we are isn't what we say.
Exactly. It's about the refusal to betray one's own internal order. True opinion isn't about winning the argument on the screen. It's about not losing yourself in the process.
And the source ends with silence. Not an empty silence, but a space to consider what parts of our lives no machine could ever articulate for us.
Because there are parts of the human experience, grief, love, the feeling of the sun on your face, that cannot be generated. They can only be lived. And protecting that lived experience is the most important thing we can do.
And on that note, we're going to leave you with that thought. Take a moment today to embrace a little bit of that silence. Maybe write that draft and don't send it. See how it feels. Thanks for diving in with us.